Well, there was some news this week for any Australians hoping for a pause in the RBA's interest rate tightening cycle. The RBA board deciding to raise rates by another quarter percentage point at its February meeting and issuing a decision statement that was decidedly hawkish, essentially locking in another move for March and we think a final move in the May month, taking us to a peak cash rate of 3.85%. The focus going into this meeting was really around the decision statement. 95% of commentators were expecting a 25 basis point increase at the meeting. The decision statement, the focus was going to be on the key language in terms of forward guidance. Previously we had seen this reference to policy not being on a preset course and the RBA expecting to raise interest rates further. And there was some chance that they could shift that wording, perhaps tweak it to prepared to raise rates further, showing a little bit more optionality. Instead, they really doubled down on that expectation around further interest rate rises in coming months. So there was a plural in there, which obviously locks in more than just the March move. And also setting the timeline more narrowly. There was no reference to policy not being on a preset course. So really, in some ways, ruling out the possibility of a pause in coming months. The remainder of the decision statement really upped the ante on inflation fighting rhetoric. It's clear to us that fourth quarter, December quarter surge in inflation, particularly underlying inflation, has unsettled the RBA. We've seen the composition of that number has started to skew more towards domestic service sectors where inflation is likely to be more persistent. We'll get a bit more clarity around that from the RBA's statement of monetary policy due out at the end of the week and their interpretation of the inflation picture, but quite plainly 8% inflation and the prospect of inflation still being near 5% by the end of this year means inflation is absolutely front and centre for policy at the moment. So the RBA really emphasising it's still on its tightening path in line with our expectations and definitely sends a signal that we've got another rate rise in the March month, probably more. We think May will mark the end of the tightening cycle with a terminal cash rate of 3.85%.